All right. Thank you all for joining the August key review for product. We'll be reviewing July data. And the first question is from Brian.
Hey, everybody. I know we've made some good progress with MQLs. I'm excited about that. Sam, I know last key meeting we talked a little bit about standardizing on some of the integrations and my desire to evangelize a standard approach so that we can have a way to do this without having to recreate the wheel every time. Can you just talk a little bit about how that's going, Sam, and where we're at?
Sure. So in the last milestone, we pivoted and worked directly with the enterprise apps team and had a really great experience. And we're able to quickly build out some new API endpoints that go through Nexus and allow the product to speak directly to Marketo and Salesforce. So we're going to start working on implementing those this milestone, first with some test data and then live customer data. But really, shout out to that team. It was incredibly easy to get those endpoints spun up, much easier than I've had in past lives. So really excited to work with the team. And the spike in MQLs is likely more related to Mike's team and his great work on an experiment he's still actively running around defaulting trials to on for company signups. We're seeing massive trial growth from that. So I'll let him speak to that more, as I'm sure it'll come up.
Yeah, I can jump into that. Thanks, Sam. So there's a bit of an overview on it in the deck on slide, just double checking here, slide 7.
Yeah, I added the link in the next one as well. So the next agenda item, there is a your slide. Yeah.
Cool. So then, Hila, do you want to just take it away? Because I think the slide kind of speaks for itself and we can respond to any questions.
But before we do that, Sid had a question on 3.
So my interpretation of Nexus is it's middleware that allows us to connect, allows the IT team to kind of own the connection between all of our systems, but I'll let Brian give a more detailed answer. So I'm sure he's,
is it a SaaS service? Is it a custom piece of software? Where can I find a link? I tried.
Yeah, so I'm putting the link in right now for you, Sid. It's actually based on an open source integrations framework. Here, let me put the link for you. And this describes it in the handbook for the integrations team right now. So we use a couple different methods here. We use this open framework right now for API-driven integrations. And we use Workato for more of a app-to-app where there's already some integrations that are easy to plug together. And then we do some other custom things if required.
Does that give you enough to go on, Sid?
Okay, so it's a custom thing. Nexus is also a piece of software that's popular for packaging. So it's one of the top 2 alternatives to GitLab in the package stage. So it's going to be it might be really confusing to some people. So consider renaming it to something that is not a popular DevOps tool.
Sounds good.
All right, Hila, number 4.
Yeah, I have the next one. So I want to call out 2 experiment/insight that might be helpful or have some implication for the broader team. The first one is that the adoption team, Mike, basically experimented adding a trial toggle in the new user sign-up flow, which led a pretty significant increase in trial volume. We plan to measure more metrics, including some like conversion, adoption longer term. And we're also have been in communication with the marketing team since this might translate into MQL. I will have Mike talk a little bit more about that one. And the other insight is the conversion team and Sam, they did a survey on all the paid customers, and they discovered a list of most valuable hidden features. So basically those features customers are not aware of, but when we told them this exists, they become very excited. They want to adopt them. So since a lot of product managers are in this call, I think this is maybe help you think about what are the features to promote that might drive users along the golden path and increase SPO. And Sam can talk a little bit more about this one as well. So going to you, Mike, first.
Yeah, thanks, Hila. So yeah, on the slide, essentially what the change was, the experiment was Sam's team had added a toggle that was defaulted to off that lets you opt into a trial previously. And so we decided to test just defaulting it to on and having the form exposed. And we're seeing some really strong results. It's over at this point, 1,000% increase in trials. And I think the interesting one is really the 65% of namespaces created in this flow adopt a trial versus just 4.5% in the control. So we're really seeing a huge increase in the trials being created because of this change. And I do think that's probably going to cause some increase in MQLs, although we know that in order to qualify as an MQL, you need to have a non-personal email address in use. So that may be offsetting it a bit. But we're excited to see how this one progresses. We're going to continue to track the engagement metrics and also the ultimate kind of conversion into paid subscriptions, because we want to make sure we're not just creating more noise in the system and not getting, at the end of the day, more customers coming out of it. But we think that we may have a nice winner here that will lead to overall broader adoption from customers and increased customer counts, which is what we're really trying to drive.
All right, we good on that one, Hila?
Yeah, unless Sam, do you have anything to add on the feature survey result?
The only thing I'll add there is just that what we did was we surveyed customers recently after they upgraded. And the survey ran for a while and started with people that were still purchasing bronze. So it includes that tier. But the goal was to understand what features they were aware of in the tier that they purchased and what features they were not aware of. And of the features they weren't aware of, which ones were they excited about? So this helped us identify a list of kind of those hidden valuable features. And when you overlay that with the golden journey, it starts to paint a picture of we need to do a better job of highlighting not only some paid features in specific tiers, but how the paid tier that you purchased crosses multiple tiers or stages, excuse me. So I think we should start to think about experiences in the product where we kind of pitch the platform, the value of the platform. And that's something that the conversion team is going to dig into this in the second half of this year.
Great. Thanks so much. Great updates, great progress. Love those learnings. Thank you for sharing and doing the work. Brian has number 5.
Yeah. Hey, Justin, I know the Supersonics V1's behind us and celebrate that again here. Congrats. Can you comment a little bit on how we're going to manage future iterations for Supersonics? I mean, that was a big lift and probably get more to iteration value. And also any thoughts on when we can use strict cloud licensing and retire the old licensing app service?
Sure. Thanks for the question. So for the first one, I put an issue together and I linked it under A. So if anyone else is interested, please read that. The gist is iteration. Like, it was really challenging to iterate effectively. Nothing we would have done differently, I don't think, but as we look forward, I really want us to focus on that value. The example of this is, say when we're ready to support customers who require purchase orders for quarterly reconciliation, we ship that, we launch it, we deliver that, we break work down and deliver the smallest possible iteration that furthers the program. Another note though on this, we don't intend to combine any larger customer communication here. We don't have any blog posts planned or anything like that. And so that enables us to iterate and not have to sort of couple to a press release event. We will still need to enable the field for a lot of those future changes. So there'll be field enablement work and we'll partner with Monica and the team there. But this will enable us to iterate. So please read the issue. If you have any other questions, happy to field them. But that should enable us to deliver results more incrementally. The next one you asked was strict orders. So the key indicator here is when we're ready to force customers to upgrade to 14.1 or later in order to license and provision their instance. So if you track organic adoption, we probably need a few months until we'd be comfortable making that change. If we want to push it, I'd want feedback from the field on willingness to make that a requirement of closing a new deal or closing a renewal. So that's the variable there. So sorry, it's not a straightforward answer. I don't have a specific date in mind yet necessarily. But we're continuing to get feedback from the field and from customers on when we were able to do this. Another iteration that we should consider here, and we talked about this at one point, is for web direct orders. We can do this much sooner, I'd imagine. So new logo, first order web directs, we should be able to move that to strict orders sooner. So that might be the next iteration. And then we look to do it maybe with renewals on web directs, and then eventually likely the most impactful change will be to larger enterprise customers, who are maybe just slower to upgrade to newer versions, if that makes sense. And then I just wanted to call this out. You had mentioned, retiring the old licensing service. We won't fully ever retire license files because we'll likely need to use that mechanism to activate, an air-gapped customer, even if we collect the data offline through some offline mechanism. The change, though, is that right now we're issuing 100% of customers, we're issuing both the file and the code. That will become a very small percentage in the future, but we'll still keep that functionality around.
Thank you, Justin. Brian, we good on that one?
That's great. Thanks, Justin.
Okay, no more questions are listed. Anything else y'all want to cover? If not, thanks for joining and have a good rest.